up, book lovers? It is G-Swizz here, and I'm here today to talk about the longest book series on my TBR. If you didn't know, this is a 7 on Sunday topic, and I am the host of 7 on Sunday. I will link the Goodreads page down in the description where you can check it out, and you can participate in a topic in the future, or you can suggest a topic. And this week's topic I've wanted to do for a while. I do like tracking my TBR down, and I do like looking at some series that I should be prioritizing based on length. I don't tend to prioritize series based on length often. I mean, there are times that I just bulk buy a book series, and I want to purchase book series based on how long they are, but do I get to them immediately? Not really. So I thought today, why not just gather up all the longest book series on my TBR, talk about them, and pretty much just remind myself that they are on my TBR and that I need to get to them sometime soon. And additionally, I'm making this into a video because I like showing and telling and talking about why certain book series are on my TBR, why I'm interested in them, and why I am planning to make these commitments. So I guess without further ado, let's get straight into this list, and I will be working my way up, starting from the least lengthy series on my lengthy TBR and then moving on to the most lengthy. However, I do have to preface that I will not be including manga series on this TBR. If you were wanting to see a separate manga series video talking about the longest manga series that I have on my TBR, I am happy to make that video. I just need to know if anyone will show up for my manga videos. I have so many manga video ideas, but I just don't know if anyone's going to show up for them, so I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, let's go. Starting off with the only 5-book series I have on this TBR, my friends, is the State of Grace series by Colette Rhodes. This is a 5-book series I initially was not interested in. However, I had met Colette Rhodes at Rare 2023, and initially I put the Shades of Sin series, or at least the first 2 books in that series, on my TBR at Rare. I pre-ordered those books to be signed and personalized to me, and I'm so happy they are. However, I had noticed that Colette Rhodes was bringing out a special edition set of the State of Grace series to Rare, and I'm not too sure if she's still selling those. They might just be convention exclusives going forward, but apparently at the time they were only being sold at Rare, and I decided to add them onto my TBR. And thankfully, after leaving Rare, I got together with a friend and she told me that the State of Grace series was incredible and that I needed to read it. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. I don't know when I'm going to get to it. It's not necessarily on my priority TBR, but I want to read Colette Rhodes sometime soon. I'm hearing great things about her Shades of Sin series. However, I think that it's promising that a close friend of mine really loves the State of Grace series. So I definitely want to check that one out. It's a 5-book series. The books are a little bit chunky. I reckon it's doable. I initially wasn't going to put this book series on this list because I actually completely forgot about it because I've been following this book series for years. However, I just realized that this book series is like a 6-book series. I don't know if it will be a 7-book series, but that's the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. At this point of time, I have read the first 5 books in this series, and I believe that there's going to be 1 more book. This is not including the Flesh and Fire series. The Flesh and Fire series is a prequel series, and that is a trilogy, and there are companion books in this world. Technically, I would say that the Blood and Ash series is a 5-book series, and then you've got A Soul of Ash and Blood, which is essentially a prequel, and only 5% of A Soul of Ash and Blood's plot adds to the continuing story, so I don't know, this one is a little bit confusing. It's definitely overall a 6-book series, unless of course Jennifer is wanting to write more into this world, but I think if anything she's kind of writing herself in circles. The War of Two Queens is a perfect example of that. And yes, I will be finishing the series because Poppy's journey means the world to me. I see myself in Poppy, and I do like Castiel. However, there are some things about the War of Two Queens / book 4 that just make me scratch my head, shake my head, make my head go around in circles. I don't know. I am here to see how Poppy's story is going to end. However, I am not necessarily stoked about the direction after book 4. I think that the book series definitely went downhill. And I love Castiel as well, and I think after seeing him in book 5 / the prequel, I have definitely fallen more in love with him. However, in terms of the intimacy tension that's going on between Poppy, Castiel, and Kieran, it's kind of giving me tokenism at the moment. I think after reading book 5 in Castiel's perspective and knowing that we haven't had Kieran's perspective yet in the series, it feels wrong That's all I'm gonna say. I am gonna continue on with the series. However, I do have to be very clear that I believe after the 4th book in this series, it's become a tad problematic. And I am sincerely hoping that Jennifer rectifies it, because if she doesn't rectify it in book 6, then we're gonna have a massive problem. And the next longest series on my TBR is Fortuna Sworn. This is a 6-book series. I have not yet started this series. I am fascinated. I am intrigued. I initially saw the covers and I was like, oh my goodness, those have to be mine. But I have not yet picked this series up yet. I just have not had the drive to yet, because I hear that this book series has a love triangle and it's not a why choose situation. From what I know so far, there's no specific endgame direction. And I personally kind of want to know if there is a direction and what that direction would be before I go into the book series, because I really do struggle with love triangles or series that have multiple love interests. With the Crave series, it took me a while to warm up to Hudson, and with the ACOTAR series, it took me a while to warm up to Rhysand. And I remember being so frustrated and so angry, and I want to save myself from that frustration and anger. I just want to know who to root for. And yes, I know that takes the fun out of books with love triangles or love squares and stuff, but maybe I just want to read a book series for its actual plot rather than for its romantic entanglements / complications. The Hunger Games is a perfect example of that. I was reading The Hunger Games for its plot, because its plot is cool, not for the love triangle. I mean, I like the romantic subplot, and I will always read something for its romantic subplot, but I do struggle with the idea of the protagonist giving herself to 2 people, knowing that at the end of the day, she has to choose one of them. So I am honestly hoping that Fortuna Sworn will be worth it for me. I have the first 3 books on my shelves, and I am a little bit nervous about this book series. It's not on my immediate TBR. I'm literally waiting for its final book to come out before I decide to read it, because I honestly don't think I could read this book series while it's still ongoing. So this is definitely on my long-term TBR. This one is definitely not a priority. I am definitely not going to read this book series until it is well past its ending. And the next longest series that I have on my TBR is Savage Lands by Stacey Marie Brown. This is probably no surprise to those who have watched my channel over the last year. I have wanted to read Savage Lands for a while, and I have just not. And a big reason why I haven't is because I have a feeling it's going to be a favorite, and I am just mentally preparing myself for a massive book hangover, because I get those. I know that not everyone experiences book hangovers the way that I do. Like, as I'm filming this video right now, I'm experiencing a book hangover from A Soul of Ash and Blood. And the book is literally From Blood and Ash retold, and I've read From Blood and Ash 3 times. I even experience book hangovers from rereads as well. I, for some reason, experience book hangovers more than the average person. I have every reason to be somewhat intimidated by this read. However, I've also decided to bring this topic up right now and to film this right now and to talk about this book series, because I'm planning to make Savage September happen. I want to read the Savage Land series in September. I need to make it happen. I want to read the series in the lead up to my favorites video of the year, and I am just really hoping that it makes that list, because I'm hearing great things about this book series, and unlike the other book series that I've mentioned with multiple love interests, I know the one that I'm meant to root for is the one that is inspired by Jason Momoa. So I'm excited. And also Jason Momoa is my celebrity crush as well, so I am even more excited about Savage Lands knowing that the love interest is modeled after Jason Momoa. And the next longest book series I have on my TBR is the final 6-book series that I have to mention, and that is the Monsters and Muses series by Sav R. Miller. These are Dark Olympus reimaginings. I believe they're set in the Mafia, and I'm very much looking forward to reading them, because I do like myself a good Olympus reimagining. I recently read Lore Olympus, and you know, that's a completely different tone altogether. However, every time I read Lore Olympus, I am reminded as to how much I appreciate Olympus reimaginings, and I appreciate having stories inspired by these characters. And so I reckon I'm gonna like this series. I know that not everybody is into mafia romance, but I kind of am. I do like the idea of mafia romance. I just don't read them that often, and so I reckon that this series is gonna be a good breakaway series series for me. I am also so excited because I pre-ordered the Fake Crate exclusive editions for this series, so I can't wait to see how they look on my shelves as well. But I also have the original covers because the original covers are absolutely stunning. The first one is a Hades and Persephone reimagining, and I think it works its way up from there. I'm looking forward to these. And speaking of Olympus, I also have the Touch of Darkness series by Scarlett St. Clair. Now, the Touch of Darkness series, from first glance, looks like a 4-book series. However, the Hades saga is meant to be read at the same time because the final book in the Touch of Darkness series is in both Hades and Persephone's perspective, and apparently as the Hades series continues, being in his perspective is quite important because there are a lot of things that happen in his series that lead up to the finale that you need to read before A Touch of Chaos. I started the series like 2 years ago. I read A Touch of Darkness and I did not continue on with the series, but I told myself that as A Touch of Chaos gets closer, I will eventually pick the series back up again. And finally, A Touch of Chaos is coming out at the end of this year. I really enjoyed A Touch of Darkness when I first read it, and I knew that I had the drive and determination to continue on with the series. However, I'm really happy that I stopped at the time because I just know that this is one of those book series that just seems so bingeable. I am a little bit nervous about it though because I've finally read a sequel from Scarlett St. Clair, and that, my friends, was Queen of Myth and Monsters. And as much as I want to say that that was a good sequel, unfortunately it was just not for me. So I am nervous about going into Scarlett St. Clair's sequels. If the main couple, Hades and Persephone, don't deal with their problems well, if they deal with them like they are children, then it is going to be really hard for me to root for them, or at least root for this take. I am just kind of disappointed in a couple in the King of Battle and Blood series, so I'm just really hoping that with Hades and Persephone, they'll be able to work things out. I know that there's going to be angst, and I know that there's going to be drama because it's Hades and Persephone. However, I'm hoping it's not as bad as Queen of Myth and Monsters, which just so happens to be my least favorite book that I've read this year so far. So I'm looking forward to reading that series, and that one is definitely a priority for me, so I'm hoping to get to that one by the end of the year. And the next long book series I have on my TBR is another 7-book series, and that, my friends, is the Air Comes to Rise series by Chloe C. Peñaranda. I initially thought that this series was a trilogy, and then I thought that that trilogy got extended to a 5-book series, but turns out the author is planning 6 to 7 books, and I think it's leaning more closer to the number 7. So the story is definitely continuing. I have the first 5 books on my shelves, and I do want to read The Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Peñaranda as well. That is a passion project that they're working on the side, and the reason why they are is because as much as they love the Air Comes to Rise world and series, they just needed to take a little bit of a break from it. And that is totally understandable considering how long and how dense the books look for that series. I am very much looking forward to getting to the series, however, because I am hearing great things about the romantic dynamic within the series, and I do love myself a good long series where I get to follow a very good romance. I thought I was going to get to this book series this year, and that was purely because I thought that the book series had already ended, but this book series is going to go on for another 2 books, and I reckon that those 2 books are going to be pretty chunky, so I'm going to wait a little bit more. We are moving on to 8-book series territory with Bridgerton. The Bridgerton series is on my TBR. I don't know if I'm going to read the first book though, so technically it might just be 7 books for me. We will see. The reason why I don't want to read the first book is because I am not okay with Daphne's decision in that first book, and apparently in the Netflix series it was dialed down. I don't want to read that scene personally, and as much as I do want to read the full series, I just really struggle with the idea of them finding resolution after that personally. However, I am very much curious about the other Bridgerton siblings, and I would like to follow their journeys, and I know that the Netflix series is going to continue throughout the years, but I am still curious about the actual book series itself, so I want to dive into them eventually. I also just want to get into Regency romance in general, and a big reason why is because I keep on hearing that there are some really good Regency romances out there that are super underrated, that are very healthy in their dynamics, but also they're just very fun to read, and I am missing out. And I think a big reason why I'm missing out is because I haven't adjusted myself to the Regency romance style of writing yet. I did read The Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting, and that was pretty good, but I think that the Bridgerton series might just help me get into Regency. So I might try the Bridgerton series out knowing that I somewhat know the characters already based on the Netflix series, and yeah, I'm just hoping that I enjoy the ride, I guess. And now we're moving on to 10 book territory, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys already know that the Dark Olympus series is on my TBR, and I was very intimidated by the series when I first heard about it, but I think the more and more that I've distanced myself from the Wicked Villain series, I honestly think that I will move on to Dark Olympus sometime sooner. That all being said, in terms of Katie Roberts' series, I think I'm going to get to her Deal with a Demon series first. I have read the first book in the series, I love it so much, but I think I'm going to read a few more books in that series before moving into Dark Olympus. I don't really have much more to say because I think I said a bunch of the things that I had to say in terms of Olympus reimaginings for some other books on this TBR. I'm hearing so many great things about it, and I seriously cannot wait to see what Katie does with the Olympians. The second last longest book series that I have on my TBR technically counts as a 10-book series. I don't know, they're like novellas and stuff, even though it's technically a 9-book series. I'm gonna say it's a 10-book series because book 8.5 being 500 pages is ridiculous. You know what? Maybe this book series has more books, even though they're known as like novellas or companion novels, but it's the Zodiac Academy series. I put this series on my 30 before 30 purely because I don't know if it's gonna get finished within the next few years. It might just get finished before I turn 30, but if it does, then I'd be really lucky. If it doesn't, then, you know, that is to be expected. I do want to read the series though, because I have friends who are absolutely attached to these characters, and I love that for them, and I want to be in on that eventually. However, I need to know if reading until the end is worth it. So if I'm to be honest, from an outsider perspective, I'm finding it a little bit ridiculous that the ending is dragging on this far because this series was slated to end a while ago. That all being said, I am still planning to read it eventually, but similarly to what I mentioned before, when there's a series with like multiple love interests, I want to know who to root for. And I know to some readers that that seems like a spoiler, but I mean, I don't care. I don't want to be in anguish while reading a book series, and I know that this book series is actually meant to make you feel pain. I have just been hearing from so many people that this book series has broken their heart. It has given them trust issues. I get that. I kind of love that for you, but I also hate that for you. I personally just want to go into it mentally prepared. I know that I can't get mentally prepared enough for Zodiac Academy, but I am doing my best. That is why I'm holding off reading Zodiac Academy. Once I know that Tori and Darcy are going to have, like, I don't know, their happy ending, or at least their ending to the plot line at the moment, because you know what, spin-offs are fine. I mean, I don't know if they should do spin-offs considering how long this book series is going for. When you're an author who owns the characters, like, you can do whatever you want with them. I just want to know that their story is going to conclude, or at least these plots are going to conclude at some point, so then I can mentally prepare myself and I can read up to that point. And now we are moving into 20-book territory. That's right, the final book series that I have on this list today, that is the longest on my TBR, that I fully intend on continuing, is the Planet Barbarians series by Ruby Dixon. This is a 20-book series. All of them are companion novels, and I am in no rush to complete the series, so if I'm going to read the series, I might just read a few at a time, because all the stories are essentially just little romances that take place on this planet. So unlike the book series like Zodiac Academy and An Heir Comes to Rise, I don't really have to worry about binge reading all of these all at once. I do plan on reading the first few sometime soon, and I think that these would make a perfect book hangover read after some of the other series that I've mentioned. This is a 20-book series commitment that I will eventually make. I don't really even need to commit to all of them. I don't need to finish them instantly, but I would like to get to them sometime eventually because I am hearing from my friends that they are good comfort reads. In terms of some other long book series, I do eventually want to get to Nalini Singh and maybe Iona Andrews' book series as well. Like, there are so many other fantasy and paranormal authors out there that I am interested in, and I will get to them eventually. I just don't have many books on my TBR by them, nor have I looked into how long their book series are or if there are any spin-offs. I do want to read from these authors eventually, but they're just not on my immediate TBR yet. So they are on my radar, just not on my immediate TBR, and who knows, maybe eventually they will be featured in one of these videos. So I guess that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. If you happen to stay to the end of the video, leave me the green heart emoji. And if you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. And also, I have social medias. I'm at GSwizzleBooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also at Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/GSwizzle, and I'm also at TikTok. I'm at GSwizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some bookish content. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later.
Started out with half and I flipped it in a double. Started out with half and I flipped it in a double.